Hello. I think it's Hank. How you doing, everybody? I am pleased to be here by myself, and I got to turn my thing off because that was making noise. And I got your chat open up, popping it out, putting it over here, and hello. Let's see what you guys are talking about. A guy says, hello, this is my first month as a patron. How long does the live stream usually last? It lasts about a half an hour. My first time here, took off work so I can finally see this. This is why I took off work. This is not why I took off work. It just works out that way. Okay, well, either way. Glad they had the email last week. I can never remember the live stream, and the email 2 hours before isn't much help. Figured that out for you. Is the live stream available after it finishes? I don't think we've done that before, but I think we can. I think there's a way to share it on the Patreon. That's a good point. That's a good idea, Jen. But I'm not 100% sure that that's possible, but I'm pretty sure it is. Email to ask questions on the pod. It's hankandjohn@gmail.com. It's really easy to remember if you sing the song. Hank has a new podcast? How do I figure out about this? Hank has 2 new podcasts. Why not? I have a new podcast that is Holy Effing Science, which you can find by, I think at this point, typing in Holy Science on iTunes. I think it's back. They didn't like the way that we had phrased the name of our podcast.
You have 2 new podcasts?
So if you just type in Holy Science, I think you'll find it. I'm not sure. Again, not positive. I haven't checked in a while. And that's a podcast where me and some friends just figure out how to amaze each other with facts about the world. And then I have another podcast where I interview internet creators called Creator Chat. And I'm not sure if that one's up either, but it will be very shortly. Hello, John.
Hi. I didn't know you had 2 new podcasts. I feel like you're cheating on me.
Well, you want to come on my podcasts?
Yeah, absolutely. You know who's in chat right now is our secret brother, Tom.
Oh, secret brother Tom. That's wonderful.
Also, Ningmaster Tom.
You can't just say a word and then not say any other words, John.
What?
That wasn't an end word. It was a start word.
Did you not hear me? I said also Ningmaster.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just didn't hear you. You're just bad at internet.
Anyway, hi everybody, and hello to Jeff from AFC Wimbledon as well, and everybody who's in the chat. You're all great. Hank, how are you doing?
Good. I'm good. I gonna roll over, which is scary.
Yeah.
He's very cute. I got a lot of work done last week. I'm a little scared about my video on Friday, but I'm not going to tell you about it.
Great.
And
I'm glad that you're scared about it, because our audience has dropped by 60% in the last 10 days. So it's good to know that you're taking risks.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter how many people there are.
It matters a little
confidently.
bit. What matters really is whether the quality of the engagement rather than the number of views. Hank, can you hear me?
What? Yeah, I just heard you say, you're coming in and out.
Okay. I had oral surgery yesterday, so I'm not in the best spirits.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have oral surgery more than anyone else in the world.
No, but I have a lot of it, and it is frustrating. I am in a state of kind of perpetual frustration about it. But yeah, let's answer some questions from our listeners.
How is your social media hiatus going, John?
Great. Highly recommended. It's been going wonderfully. I think I might extend it past Lent and just not ever use Twitter again.
Sorry, I wasn't listening. I was looking at Twitter.
Okay. You know who else is here? Is Holtza. There's so many old school nerd fighters here.
I made a joke.
What?
It was a joke.
Sorry. I mean, so here's my argument against Twitter, and I really think I might be right about this. I think that the kind of engagement that Twitter allows for is not the kind of engagement that we need. And so I worry that when we use Twitter, we are only we're only furthering a destructive, like an inherently destructive process.
I feel you, and I like I think that Twitter is very good for like jokes.
Yeah, but I'm not really on the internet anymore for jokes. I used to be, but now I feel like I don't know. Dude, I'm in a dark place with the internet right now.
Yeah, it does. It does feel as if it has allowed for bad things to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. It's complicated, obviously, but and there are some great things about the internet, but I don't know. I worry that instead of making things better just by participating in it, we are making things worse. Heather Dubois asked, Paul and Hannah wanted me to ask you who you think will win the 2017 Indy 500, which is a question of great relevance to me because I just had my IndyCar Fantasy League draft, Hank. It was incredible excitement. I'm sure you can imagine.
I don't know anything about that.
Is there any way that I can get you to engage with me rather than whatever else you're doing?
I just got a text message.
Okay, but I like see you typing and like we only have this 30 minutes, so if you could just be here now.
You know, I think
actually this is a really good example of what I think is wrong with the social internet.
Reply to this text message anytime in the next hour and a half, which I would really like to. It should be while you're talking about the Indy 500, which is something I know nothing about and thus can't engage with anyway.
Right. So my IndyCar Fantasy
literally nothing. I know that there are cars. I'm not even sure which car they are. Are they the flat cars or the car-shaped cars? I don't know which one Indy is.
Open-wheeled cars. I think so. I'm certainly rooting for James Hinchcliffe to win.
I've never.
Brendan asks,
I couldn't have told you, but that person is a driver of cars.
Well, James Hinchcliffe was on. I believe James Hinchcliffe was on the Dancing with the Stars. Anyway, Brendan asks, John, have you heard the Anfield Wrap interview with Lucas Leiva? No, I have not. But Lucas Leiva is my favorite Liverpool player, Hank. He's been with Liverpool since 2008, and I have 7 of his jerseys. 7.
Any facts about Mars? Like any questions about Mars? That would be super great.
I'm just trying to answer all the questions. And then somebody said, John, why MySpace yesterday? Which is a reference to the scavenger hunt that's currently going on in some corners of Nerdfighteria. And the answer is that Rosianna and I were talking about it, and we thought it would be hilarious. Because we were talking about how like we've used all the other major social platforms on this scavenger hunt this year. So yeah, we ended up using MySpace. We went old school.
Can you still put things on MySpace?
I didn't add new content to MySpace, but Rosianna did register a new profile, and yes, there you can add content to MySpace. I believe MySpace is now owned by Time.
It jumped around a lot, I feel like.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be going up in value.
No. I'm glad that I did not get into the MySpace train as an investor.
Yeah, agreed. I remember when MySpace sold for $500 million, whenever it was, 2006, and I just was thinking, like, that is a ridiculous amount of money to pay for MySpace. And now Snapchat is worth $24 billion. So what do you know? I mean, who knows?
It's worth like $40 billion. It's increased in value dramatically since the IPO. It's nuts.
Well, I think it's mostly young people thinking that they understand value, and they don't. That's what I'm so old, Hank. Oh God, I'm old, and
do you think that it's a bunch of 20-year-olds who have invested $10 billion?
I literally
last 2 days.
I think it's a bunch of 20-year-olds.
I don't think it's young people.
And I think what I actually think it is. I think it's old people who are trying to understand young people and have deeply misunderstood what is interesting about their work.
I Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, sometimes I just like to imagine that the experts know more than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think the experts do, but you actually are an expert on the social internet in a way that most people working in finance are not.
It's
Heather,
definitely true.
Heather asks, do you ever text each other? Do you think Snapchat is worth a lot of money? You actually use Snapchat, so maybe I'm missing it. Maybe I'm missing the point.
But I do not as much anymore. I think that I think that Snapchat is. I mean, Facebook paid some ridiculous amount for WhatsApp, and I think it's kind of the same thing. It's a itching system more than anything else, and I think the idea is like we're not creating a bunch of value in the normal ways anymore. We're creating values in all these new ways, and we have to figure out like the kind of owning people's lives is the new goal for these big companies. Like owning all of the interactions you have and understanding like step one, step like and like being able to reach you. At the same time, like advertising is always going to be a messed up model. I don't think Snapchat has any other way to monetize except for advertising.
Right.
And there's only so many dollars that can go into advertising, and the number of dollars that can go into advertising actually decreases as people spend less money, which I think is the actual outcome of people spending more time on the internet. They spend less money.
I agree.
In the real world.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I do think that people end up spending almost all of the money they have, no matter what. So it's just a question of how they're going to spend it, because people have no ability to, or well, some people do, but most people have no ability to stop themselves from spending whatever they have. Jamie asks, what's something good that's happening in your life right now? Do I seem down, Jamie? I am a little bit because of this oral surgery issue. I just cannot.
Some other problems too.
Huh? Oh, you mean like the collapse of the political system and whatnot?
Yeah, and just watching things go in a direction that we're not used to them going in.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, we're used to, in the last 20 years, we've experienced a lot of opening and deeper connection, even which is larger than a political story, I think. It's also a social story. And we are maybe now experiencing some closing, which is new and weird. Pseudobot asks if MySpace is owned by the concept of time or by Time Warner, and I believe it is the latter. Although MySpace is certainly it certainly suffers under the concept of time. If MySpace could get out of the concept of time, it would be very valuable.
Yeah, the real question is like, aren't we all in a way owned by the concept of time? Like everything, all created things are owned by the concept of time, by that fourth dimension, than they are by any social construct that has been created by man. Yeah.
Mary asks an interesting question. I'm a 38-year-old longtime nerdfighter thinking through how I can best contribute to the community. I have nerdfighter friends I love, participate in Project Frostman, etc., but haven't engaged as broadly as I'd like. After NerdCon, I realized how much I regret this. How do you think we older nerdfighters can best contribute to the nerdfighter community in a way that makes our age and experience an asset? It's interesting. Hank?
That explains my lack of engagement right now.
What are you thinking?
I just got some surprise, very good tickets to an Elton John concert, and I'm trying to find friends to go with me.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell her more about the details in a little bit.
Jesus Christ! I mean, your inability to engage over a single 20-minute period is truly astonishing. I think you might need to get off Twitter, and also like. I think or just rearrange your priorities. Like, what would have happened if that had waited in 1 hour and 12 minutes?
I don't know.
Let's walk through it. Like, what would have been the bad outcome?
I wanted to get it handled because it's happening tonight. The concert is tonight, and I want to deal with it fast.
All right. Well, I'm glad you got that done.
So there was a good question, John, about older nerd fighters, and I didn't hear it because I'm bad at paying attention to things.
Well, so can you put away your phone for the next 15 minutes so we can have a good live show, or should we just?
I'm on it. I did it. It's done.
Okay. I'm a 38-year-old longtime nerdfighter thinking through how I can best contribute to the community. I have nerdfighter friends I love, participate in Project for Awesomes, etc., but I haven't engaged as broadly as I've wanted. And after NerdCon, I realized how much I regret this. How do you think we older nerdfighters can best contribute to the nerdfighter community in a way that makes our age an asset? It's a very interesting question, and I feel like, Hank, we have not opened up enough doors to allow people or provide people with opportunities to find that deeper engagement with the community.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult in general. I think one of the things about the internet is that that's both a good and a bad thing, is it allows us to find people who are like us, who are similar to us, and we feel comfortable with, and then we spend less time actually engaging with people who are different from us. And you can talk about that in terms of like politics, which is the obvious example, but it's also in terms of race and age and ethnicity. And so like in this way that like we had this opportunity to open it up and branch out and everybody could talk to everybody, but mostly we choose to talk to people who are like us because that's most comfortable. And I've always felt until I was in my like late 20s, I felt weird hanging out with people who were more than 10 years older than me. Okay. But
but the question is how do you find ways to use like an online sandbox or an online community like Nerdfighteria to deepen your engagement? And I don't have a good answer for that question. Like I think it's kind of our responsibility to make those spaces, and I don't know that we're doing a great job of it right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been it's hard to create spaces that can hold a lot of people on the internet.
Right. I mean, I'm trying to do that with the scavenger hunt, and I think it's working for like the 500 people who are really into the scavenger hunt. But of course, like most of us, including frankly, most of us who are older, I mean, you've got to be a certain kind of person to want to spend 2 or 3 hours of your week on a scavenger hunt. Like, I'm that kind of person, but I think most people aren't.
Rebecca says, wait, are there seasons on Mars? As if that had been mentioned earlier in the conversation or in the chat. Yes, there are seasons on Mars.
Toa says, talk about the CIA news.
Oh, no, I know nothing. The thing is, there's just too much news to have any idea what the news is.
Well, everybody has different news. Like the CIA news is not really news in my world because it's poorly sourced and distributed by WikiLeaks, a organization I do not trust. And so I have no idea if the information that's being distributed is accurate, and no one else has any idea if it's accurate, and it hasn't been backed up much. I feel the same way about the news that Donald Trump is a secret agent of the Russians. Like, to me, it's not news. Mm-hmm. It's like undifferentiated, poorly sourced information that claims to be news. And I think we have to pay a lot of attention to the question of. So, Hank, I've talked with you about this privately, but I think that when we don't ask the question, who is it that is letting us read people's emails, or who is it who is letting us read memos that appear to be authentic or whatever, when we don't ask that question, we do ourselves a grave disservice, because that basically means that we are allowing other people, some of whom may not want the best for us, to decide what information we have access to. I don't think WikiLeaks should decide what information I have access to. I think that's a road to absolute disaster.
And a thing in general about leaks is, and I don't know anything about this CIA story, the thing in general about leaks is that like the moment of the leak is when the news happens. And when that happens through a service that's just like, information is here, do what you will with it, then you get exactly 10 minutes to like analyze it enough to write a story if you're a major publication, and that is no useful amount of time. And so the information gets dumped, and then everybody's like, well, you have to write a story about it now, because it wasn't like the information dump wasn't controlled, and it didn't go through the systems that exist of how we think about and analyze information as journalists. And And so everybody's required to have an opinion about it immediately before anybody knows anything about what it actually says. And
Right.
then
Yeah.
you
Like it's yeah. There's a. It's even
reporter and you say, here's the information, I think that it's problematic. Let's go through it for sometimes months. And then you
right.
publish a story that actually has information. Instead of the story being the information exists, the
Right.
story is here's the thing that happened.
Right. And
And
it's even in the
so,
phrase that people use when they say, like, this is a document dump. Like, that's not news. That's the first step toward news that will be news in 4 months, once people who are smart and thoughtful and careful have sorted through what it means. But we don't have any time for contextualizing now. We don't have any time for processing information. And I think that's a real serious disservice to actually being able to sort through what matters and what doesn't. Because the other thing that it does is it makes the news cycle so fast that you end up creating tons of false equivalences. You end up not being able to process the real meaning of information because you're moving on to the next set of information. And so anytime so the truth about, like, to me, the truth about the CIA leak is that I don't think I will know what it means for at least a year. And I don't think anyone will know what it means for at least a year. And so Dylan asks, do you think the fact that you are not confident in the future is another form of the kids these days fallacy? Are things really worse now than they were in the past? That's a great question. And no, I don't. I am broadly confident in the future. But I think the idea that life gets better for humans is very new. And so I think the kids these days fallacy might be accurate if you zoom out to like a 5,000-year timetable instead of a 200-year timetable. But no, I think life is going to get better. I think kids today will have better lives than I had.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are definitely, at all times, there are big problems to think about and deal with. And the fact that we deal with them as a species doesn't mean we don't have to worry about them. Like when you look back and you say, like, oh, we had this huge problem back in the 19 teens, but huge deal. Well, it actually was a huge deal, and we fixed the problem by thinking about it and caring about it and being afraid of it.
Yeah,
so
right.
Like, so the reason, the fact that we have been progress does not mean that we don't have to worry about progress. We have to continue, because people back then cared about their issues as much as we care about ours. So we have, so I think that, like, saying like, but it's all worked out in the past, it does not mean that, like, we don't have to work to make it work out.
I agree. I want to go through a couple comments real quickly. Sarah says she's sorry that I'm down. It's just my mouth. It's so frustrating. I mean, anybody who's had chronic pain knows how frustrating it is, and every time it comes back, it's impossible not to catastrophize. So I'm sorry if I seem short with Hank or with anybody else. And then asks, how can we get in on the scavenger hunt? If you're interested in the scavenger hunt, you can go to the most recent Vlogbrothers video. There's a pinned comment with a link to the Nerdfighter Discord, which is the sort of channel chat that people are using to sort through it. And you can hang out with people there and also learn about the scavenger hunt there. Nobody knows what it's leading to, but I think it's going to lead to something interesting. Lorena says that her favorite way to engage with the Nerdfighter community is to have real life encounters, like going out and play Cards Against Humanity with local Nerdfighters, which I agree with. Like, I think that real life Nerdfighter gatherings are hugely valuable. And there are more than 1,600 people on the Discord, Hank, which is really cool. So it's not 500 people, it's 1,600.
Wow. Someone asked if I'm wearing red for International Women's Day. Like this hoodie a lot, but yes, also yes.
Cool.
Now I am. Hunt lead to something at VidCon, asks Heidi. I don't think so.
No. When is VidCon?
June?
No, it will probably have a real life component at VidCon, though. It will also probably have a real life component at VidCon Europa. That was my attempt to do a Dutch accent, or a vaguely European accent.
No. That's good.
Um,
Someone asked me best resources for chemistry besides Crash Course.
Yeah.
Why did you say besides Crash Course? Because like, what else do you need? No. Your
you
textbook is actually probably pretty good. We based Crash Course largely on the work inside of textbooks. People asking, is it possible to buy tickets to VidCon Europe without a credit card? And I feel like we have dealt with that. Like, if you email us, we've only gotten like a couple of comments about that. But I am very sad to hear that a lot of people are unable to buy tickets, and I don't know really what to do about that problem.
Yeah, believe me,
how do you buy things? You'll probably be able to buy tickets at the door. Ash, how do you buy things if you don't have credit cards?
Age 3111 says the Discord link doesn't work, so I bet somebody can give you a new Discord link here in the chat. Someone says that they came upon Nerdfighteria because of their chemistry professor. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I know that things are very complicated in Europe. Like, I don't understand Europe's credit card situation, but it's fascinating because people seem to be able to live without credit cards, which is great. Westerly asked, I have an invisible disability that makes standing on the train hard and painful. How do I ask fellow commuters to give up a seat without it being awful? That's difficult.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah,
I think, well, I think if you take a second to explain the situation, 99% of people will give up the seat, but that's one of the things about chronic pain that's really hard when it's invisible. People don't believe it as much.
You could play a weird card here, and this isn't wrong. It just feels a little wrong. Bring a cane.
I was going to say you could play a weird card in the sense that you could just have a business card that you hand to people, explaining the situation. So you literally play the card.
Weird card. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody else suggested start bringing a cane
by your doctor.
Yeah. So Monica says that it's not possible to buy VidCon EU tickets without a credit card, but there will be a solution for buying tickets at the door with a chip card or a PIN. She says no cash, but that's not true, Monica. I'll take cash. You just give me $500 and I'll make it happen. I'll get you in. Just give in hundreds, but it has to be American money. I don't spend euros.
I don't know if Westerly would collect our advice, John, but mostly we want to say that sounds hard.
Yeah, that sounds hard. I have known people who used the business card before. I have a friend who has inflammatory bowel disease and has a business card that says, I have Crohn's disease and need to use your bathroom, because it's hard for him to say it out loud sometimes.
That's why it's nice to and it's also like I'm definitely like, I printed these beforehand. I'm not making this up. It's nice to live in a town where I know most of the people who own the shops, and I'm just like, hey, I'm just going back.
In.
See ya.
Clear the way. Hagai Kiri says, John, please try to pronounce my name, which I just did, and I bet I did poorly. Oh, there's a good Discord link, but you've got to just close out the spaces, and that will take you to the magical Discord. I didn't know what Discord was, but it's actually really cool and interesting, and it reminds me a little bit of like IRC back in the day.
Retracted.
Uh-oh.
Mary has retracted her chat.
Oh, there's okay. She's got a better. She's got a better one now. So you can't post links to you can't post links, but you just take the spaces out and that'll work. Oh, Mary, apparently that one doesn't work anymore. I don't know. Good luck finding the Discord. Man. Apparently it's very hard to find.
It's super indie, John.
It's so indie you can't even get in. Like that's remember when Zay Frank used to say, "Are the new viewers gone yet?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's
that's our
it's a great
situation.
good philosophy to live by, John, I think.
Yeah, probably so. God. So Hank, did I tell you actually what happened with this? Can we just have the chat run 5 minutes long so I can tell you what happened with my mouth?
Yeah.
All right. So in 2010, I had a root canal in this tooth over here, tooth number 14. And when you get a root canal, you get they do the root canal, and then they put some cotton in between the root canal and the filling, and that cotton is just there to like keep everything dry. And then when they when they redo the filling, like after the temporary, they take out the cotton and they just put in like a permanent filling or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So this tooth started to hurt, and like I'm pretty accustomed to mouth pain, so it didn't, I just kind of was just like, whatever, maybe it'll get better, and like I don't really want to deal with it because mouth pain is the worst. But it just got worse and worse over the course of the last 2 weeks. So finally I went in to the dentist, and they were like, yeah, there's definitely some infection there, and an abscess, so you've got to go to the endodontist. And he was like, yeah, we're just going to try to retreat the root canal. We'll see how it goes. And he opened it up and he said, oh no. And there was the 7.5-year-old cotton. And it was
Oh my God.
brown and black. And it smelled like death. And this is not my current dentist, but a previous dentist had failed to pull the cotton out. And oh my God, they spent 40 minutes just draining the like blood and pus out of the wound in my mouth. I have the worst dental luck. Like I have such great luck.
Yeah.
Like I'm one of the luckiest people I've ever known. I have ridiculously good luck, but I have the worst dental luck. It's like all of my luck went into the non-dental areas. And then I got the worst dental luck.
Oh my
so anyway,
God.
I maybe that
you should
Alicia,
have a card you give to all.
Alicia said, well, that's my lunch canceled.
You should have a card that you give to dentists that says, I have very bad dental luck.
Please check your work.
Make sure to not make any mistakes in there.
Oh God, I do. I just have
much
really
higher chance that you're gonna screw something up inside of here.
Oh God,
this is just bad luck zone.
Yeah. I think on the whole my luck is still good, but bad dental luck. Yeah. So we'll see. Then the endodontist was like, I mean, I don't love your chances of keeping this tooth. And I was like, great, thanks. Thanks. Because if there's a chance that things could go wrong, believe me, they will.
Yeah. Could you just take them all out? Just whoop.
Yeah.
Put some like bolts up in there I can screw fake teeth into.
I asked about that once, and my dentist was like, believe me, that is worse. So I believe it. But yeah.
I have pain in my foot, and sometimes I'm like, what if you just removed that toe?
Yeah, I mean,
that's probably not to this problem.
Probably not a good long-term solution. Mary has posted a new and final Discord link. So if you want to check out the It's a Tuatara chat and find out what It's a Tuatara means, which actually they don't know what it means yet. But yeah, that's the updated link if you want to check out the stuff. But thank you. Westerly says, I have bad knee luck. I shattered my kneecap 2 times, which sounds so painful. Just the word shattered kneecap makes it sounds very painful. Okay, all that noted, we have to go. I'm now going to record a podcast in my terrible mood. Thank you guys for cheering me up.
We will have a good time.
Okay, bye friends.